What is up, my fellow golf ball addicts? We are diving into the first of our Bridgestone Tour line. I am super excited. We have at first the Bridgestone Tour B RXS. See, I'm learning those names. I knew eventually I would. It only took 4 years. Let's dive right in. All right, so Bridgestone has 4 Tour line golf balls, which is actually pretty unique. A lot of other companies will do like a 3 lineup, like a Pro Soft, a Pro, and a Pro Plus, which is kind of like what the Vice has done. And then, you know, Titleist is kind of coming over to that a little bit too. They got the AVX, they got the Pro, they got the Pro X. A lot of golf ball companies seem to do the 3, but Bridgestone's actually pretty unique in how they actually do the 4, which is they have 2 golf ball models for under 105 mile an hour driver swing speed, and they have 2 for over that, and essentially they have 1 of each. They have a distance ball as well as a more feeling spin ball. This is the under 105, and it is the spin model. So this one's designed to be softer, have a little bit more feel control. It's not going to go probably as far, but it's going to have a good amount of spin, and it's going to have a really great feel to it. It's not going to be firmer. So we'll definitely see how it does, and it's actually for our swing speed, which, you know, average swing speed is 93 mile an hour with the driver. I'm swinging like 98, 99 right now, so I'm slightly above that, but it should give a good indication of how, you know, these golf balls are going to perform. So let's go ahead and dive into the price point. These golf balls come in at $50 a dozen, which, you know, in the line of tour golf balls, that is toward the lower end. But when it comes to everything else, you know, as far as actual value and what we have, it's expensive. A lot of us do not like spending $50, you know, for a dozen of golf balls. And most of the time, most of us aren't good enough to see the added benefits anyway. So unless you're somebody who is a single digit handicap and you're able to kind of bend the ball how you want, you're most likely not going to see the results that the $50 is going to be worth. So, you know, it's a big thing on Golf Ball Addict. We love value. There's a lot of 3-piece urethane golf balls in the $29.99 range, you know, $35.99 range, somewhere in there, that are probably just as good. But this is the Tour line, and I do like to test these Tour golf balls because, you know, again, it's just, if you're someone who is good enough to get that benefit, I want you to know which ones are really good depending on your swing speeds. So I may not like the price, but let's dive into the design of the golf ball. Seeing the Bridgestone logo is always weird to me because I do think of the tire. I mean, immediately. As soon as I see it, I see the tire, but I do like how they just have the B on there. It looks cool. They have the 2 kind of like as a to the power of, which is kind of neat. They've always done it that way. Usually the blue indicates the spinning or model of the 2. The red usually indicates a distance ball, so that's good to see there. And then if you look over here on the side for the alignment tool, we have, you know, it's okay. It's got the arrows. I do like the design of it. I think it's neat how they did 1 arrow colored in and 1 not, but it's a tough alignment tool. If I land this up right here, it's really difficult to see, and even when I was out there putting with it, I didn't really care for it either. A couple other things about Bridgestone balls. 1, I don't like the dimple pattern. Now this is, everyone's different here, but looking at the dimple pattern, you can see it's different. They have like these big wide circles, and they're actually more centered and just kind of deeper in there, and it creates like this fencing type look. It just, you can tell. I mean, here's another golf ball compared to this one. You can just see how different it is. Other dimples essentially kind of curve in like a lake or a pond would. These are just like inserted, like someone took an insert, like a cookie cutter, and inserted them in. I don't like it. I don't know how it looks, and it also does affect the golf ball durability in a way, but I'll save that for the end. But there's one more thing about the design of this particular model. So in 2024, they came out with this new mindset, okay? Now, mindset is essentially this right here, and I'll also show it up here as well. And the whole idea of this is that essentially, at first I thought it was going to be like an alignment tool, you know, like we love alignment tools on Golf Ball Addict, but that's really not the case. It's not an alignment tool. It's more like a training aid slash kind of just a focus reminder. I don't know, like a swing reminder? I don't know what you'd call it. But essentially the idea of this is that you put your golf ball down, and then it takes you through 3 steps that you have to do. 1, figuring out your target and where you want to hit the golf ball. 2, imagining the line to that shot. And then 3, focusing on the golf ball, which is amazing. That's actually a really, really good system as far as remembering how to hit a golf shot. I'm really bad at that 3rd one. A lot of the time I'll kind of start to pull up and forget to look at the golf ball when I'm hitting it. Not a great habit to get into. Trust me, I know all about it. So I like the fact that it does that. I've tested this out exclusively. I do it during the putting a little bit on one of the Bridgestone videos, but Overall, it's a decent system. If you're someone who struggles with that, it's awesome. The only thing I truly wonder about, though, is that I wish they would put this on some of the balls that are like for beginners, you know, your two-piece models, your intro 3, your value balls, because I feel like this is something that newer people need to know. You know, intermediate players need to remember this stuff. Even me, I'm not the best golfer in the world. I'll be the first to tell you. I'm like a 8-9 handicap somewhere in there, and I need this reminder. But I feel like the tour golf balls are made for pro players. They're made for advanced players. I feel like most of the time advanced players should have this part down packed. If they don't, how are they scoring in the low single digits? You know what I mean? But maybe I'm wrong. That could be just a speculation. I don't know. But it is weird. I wish they would put that on some of the other golf balls they have as well. And I would love to see something like this on, you know, some value golf balls that are two-piece and intro from other companies as well. So that was a very long dive into the design of the golf ball, but hey, I guess Bridgestone just makes them a little different. So let's get out to the chipping and putting green and let's see how we do around there. All right, we have the Bridgestone Tour B RXS, which of course this means it's going to be for the under 105 crowd. Okay, actually not a lot of checkup at all there. Okay, interesting. Try it again. I mean, I love the feel. There's a very soft, mild click for feedback. A lot of you are going to like that. It reminds me of a really softer tour golf ball, kind of like what the Chrome Soft used to do back in the day before they ruined it. But this one really just has this buttery feel off the wedge. It feels phenomenal, and it's not obnoxious. It's not a super loud click. I really like that aspect of it. The problem is I'm not getting any spin. Okay, I got a little bit there, so if you hit it perfect, you can get some spin. I'm gonna run that back to see if I can validate the parking. I'm gonna come back here as far as I can and see if I get a little more distance and a little more spin, use a little putting motion here. Pretty firm release, definitely not very forgiving when it comes to the chipping, but that's all right, it's a tour ball. See, now that's a good strike. There is not a lot of green side checkup with this ball. That was a really good strike, and that ball had one of the firmest releases I've ever seen. I mean, it shot off the back of the green like a rocket. I'll try the open face again here just to kind of show you. See, if you open the face up and you hit a really nasty cut, you can get some spin out of that. But if you're looking for like a normal, you know, intermediate, you know, beginner, not beginner necessarily, but just like a normal chip motion with your shoulders to kind of do that, there's a really, really firm release. There's other golf balls I've tested that don't have that firm of a release. So, you know, spin's average. Okay, so I'm sorry if I don't know what order these are going to come out in yet, but this is the 4th Bridgestone ball I've now tested on the green and I've putted with. I feel like I've really repeated myself. Long story short, these all feel buttery, crisp, smooth. They roll extremely true. They're very consistent, and regardless of whether you have a mallet putter or a blade putter, they just seem to act and sound and feel the same, which is really phenomenal. And even the X model, you know, the X model I just did a minute ago, and I thought it was going to be loud and clicky, and it's not. It feels exactly the same. So the reality is, I think a lot of these golf balls are close. I really do think that there's 2 models intended for distance and 2 models intended for spin, and so it's just going to be based on your game and what you need. Yep, feels same. Yep. Oh! 3 in a row, baby, let's go! No, they are. They're consistent. They're awesome. They're not a 10 out of 10, but they are a 9 or a 9.5 out of 10, and they're just so consistent through across. I'm not even going to hit the blade one because I promise you it feels the same. It reacts the same. Bridgestone's done a wonderful thing. So if you want to be a Bridgestone fan and you want to try different golf balls from them, you can. You're going to get that same consistent feeling regardless. You don't have to trade. You know, I love how this one comes off my full, you know, wedge shots, but I don't like around the green. They're going to be consistent regardless. All right, so let's dive into as far as the feel with the golf clubs. You know, it's so funny. In a world where this year has brought a lot of disappointment, because when we've tested tour balls, there's been, I won't name them now, but there's been a lot of companies that have started firming up their golf balls, making them a lot less forgiving, trying to, you know, get it to where they're more tour-like. Like, oh, would a pro play this golf ball? You know, we want the best in the world playing it. And unfortunately, what's happened is the average Joe, where, you know, 2 years ago when I tested a golf ball, it now performs terrible compared to how I tested it before. This is actually the opposite. So when I tested these 2 years ago, I didn't care for how they felt. I mean, they were soft, but they didn't have a lot of spring to them. What they have done with the feel this year, you guys have been preaching it. I didn't believe you. I thought you were fibbing. I thought you were fanboys. I was wrong. This is fantastic. This is a 5 out of 5 feel. It is so soft. It is so buttery. It is so explosive. It puts a smile on my face. And what really surprised me was the first couple times I finally mishit it. When I finally mishit it, I thought, okay, is it going to punish me a little? Not even a little bit. I mean, it's very good forgiveness. Probably as far as tour golf balls go, I mean, you're top of the line. I can't remember a golf ball that had better forgiveness than this one. I just can't. Most of the time when you get into tour level golf balls, they're so firm that you mishit them off the toe a little bit and you lose quite a bit of distance. I mean, a considerable amount. Here, still felt great. It provided the feedback. It let me know, but I just didn't see it in the numbers as much. And so I was super impressed. This golf ball feels amazing. I can't think of a better feeling golf ball from a tour perspective than this one. I mean, there's been other ones that are just like bouncy balls and you hit them and they just fly off. But I mean, as far as like a traditional golf tour level feel mixed with modern, boy, this is it. This is it, and it does really well. Let's dive into these numbers. Let's start with the 50-yard pitch. Backspin, of course, 7,451, which is right in line with my average, but it's way better than I've been doing lately. So, I mean, I tested a couple stinkers lately. I did test the Wilson Staff, and it was a low spinning ball, but 7,451 is average, and that's pretty amazing. Now, I will admit that with the golf ball that is designed for spin, and also is designed, you know, for my swing speed, I was hoping to get a little more than that, especially for the price point, but considering what I've gotten lately, I'll take that. It was very consistent. I always got, you know, either high 68, 6,900 RPM, or even up into the close to 8,000. It was very consistent. Disparity was low. So you know what? I'm happy with it. There's no way I couldn't be happy with it. Even holding it to a high standard, I think it did pretty well. Getting into the 9-iron, let's start with the smash factor. 1.35, which is pretty good. That's pretty in line with some of the best golf balls I've tested. 142.9 on your distance, which is awesome. 143.9, again, awesome. 106.3, which is awesome. I mean, that is really, really explosive ball numbers across the board. 6,262 on your spin, which is low, but again, it's actually pretty decent compared to what I've been getting lately. So, again, I wish the spin was just a little better. I don't need the 143 yards of distance. I would rather have like 138 and have an additional 500 RPM of spin. That is kind of nitpicking, but again, I test a lot of golf balls. I kind of have to be nitpicky. So, good. Really good performance. Love it. 8 out of 10, 9 out of 10. Love to see that. Just a couple minor things I'd change. Also, you saw that launch angle was 19.8, which is compared to what I've been getting lately, relatively average. It's on the low average side, but tour balls usually do launch a little lower. Let's get into the 7-iron now. Smash factor 1.39, which is just slightly above average. 164, which is really good. 166, which is really good. 116.7 and 5,472, which is actually, I would say, is slightly higher than my average of late. That's actually a really healthy amount of spins, 5,400. I've changed my swing recently, and I mean, I'm de-lofting the club a lot more, so the days of the 6,000, 7,000 RPM are just gone with the 7-iron. They are. 5,472 is actually a really healthy amount considering what I've been getting. I like that. It launched at 15.1, which is low for sure, but really good distances across the board there and some healthy spin. I love it. Yeah, again, 8 out of 10, 9 out of 10, somewhere in there. We're off to a really great start. Let's keep it going with the 5 hybrid. We're looking at a smash factor of 1.43, which is really, really good. 191.9, love to see that. 197.9, amazing. 128.9, zoom off the club, baby. 3,863, and then a 12.9 launch. So again, it did want to launch low. Those numbers are actually relatively spot on with the Wilson Staff I just tested. The only main difference being the launch angle. The Wilson launched a little higher. This one launched lower. Overall, they ended up about the same. I'm not sure how, but that's how the numbers came out. You know, again, I wish it had a little more spin there. That's kind of how it's been across the board, right? It's getting a decent amount of spin, but boy, I wish it had just a little more. That's all, just a little more. But that is pretty nitpicky, and I wish it did launch a little higher. I know tour balls are designed to launch lower, but I wouldn't mind a little higher launch. There's nothing wrong with getting a couple extra yards and maybe letting it balloon up in the air a little stick of green a little better. But getting into the driver, 1.41 on your smash factor, that's actually relatively low. 2.23 on your total distance, that's average. 233.6, just slightly above average. 141.4, that's slightly above average. And 2,267, which is really low spin, but still really good. I haven't seen that number in a while. And a launch of 13.3, again, it launched low. So again, really good numbers, solid across the board. It's really consistent in what it's trying to do, and I like that because there are a lot of golf balls that just aren't consistent. You know, I might have amazing numbers with the 9-iron and then okay numbers with the 7-iron, and the problem with that is that if you have really great numbers with the 9-iron and it goes 140, and then your 7-iron's okay and it goes 155, well, now you have a 15-yard gap between your 9 and your 7-iron, and that's actually less, 12 to 13, and that's a problem. So I don't like it when golf balls aren't consistent. This one actually seems to be very, very consistent, which is awesome. All right, let's touch into the durability before I give you my final thoughts. Durability-wise, now I mentioned earlier in the video I wanted to talk about this dimple pattern. There's something about Bridgestone balls that if you notice this, you'll notice like this dirty yellowish tint to the top part where the dimples aren't. The dimples themselves look really white, but you'll notice that that area around it is all like this coat of darker yellow. You can see it. It makes the golf ball look really dirty. And this is after I've scrubbed it. I cleaned it up with a toothbrush, made it look really nice. And you know what? It's not just this year's model. I have this issue with all Bridgestones across the board. I have a couple 2-, 3-year-old ones that have been outside, their yard balls. They look atrocious from the sun. I mean, it's almost like a dark pea yellow all around there. And the dimples are still just bright white. And it's like, it doesn't, I don't know, that's weird. And it does it with all Bridgestone balls. It's different. I mean, this golf ball isn't in bad shape. I definitely would have to toss it. I give it like a 7 out of 10. I really wish it was a little better, and I think that for the price point it should be, but there's just something about this dimple pattern that really messes with that coloring. And I don't know what it is. I don't know what they use, but it happens, and you can't tell me it doesn't. I got a million Bridgestone balls out there, and they all look like that, and a lot worse because over time, I mean, this was just after one session of hitting them, so I don't know what that is, but if you do know, let me know. All right, so final thoughts. This is exciting because there was a couple tour balls, like I said, this year that really disappointed us and did not fit the bill and left us wanting more. And it's good to see that there's been a couple other companies like Wilson come along and put out a really great tour ball this year. And I have to give that to Bridgestone too. They put out a really good tour ball this year. They kept the price very competitive. They changed a lot. The feel is phenomenal. I mean, just 5 out of 5, 10 out of 10 feel. I love what they did there. If you like a soft, you know what this reminds me of, truthfully? The feel of it reminds me of the old Chrome Soft. The old 72 compression Chrome Soft, how it was softer and squishy, but it had that just spring off the club. That's what it reminds me of. It takes me back to that. And this year, Chrome Soft, of course, was one of those companies, or Callaway, excuse me, was one of those companies that the Chrome Soft got firmed up, and now I hate it, and I can't stand it, and I used to love it. Here's my replacement. Love that. So if you're someone who is looking for that soft, if you think you're good enough to play a tour ball, you got to give this one a shot for sure. It's really, really good, and a lot of you have been telling me that. And again, I thought you were fanboying. I thought you were. There's a lot. I put them in my overrated list. If it continues this way, I'll have to kind of revoke that. I'll have to revoke that off that list. So we're off to a really good start. But next up, I'm going to be doing the under 105 RX model, which of course is the distance model. So we'll see how they compare. We'll do like a direct comparison of the numbers and everything and see how it goes from there. Guys, as always, keep watching, keep saving, keep learning. Until next time.